that what it takes to become the ultimate ninja? Naruto, Ultimate Ninja.
Welcome back to Retro Rebound. In today's video, we are going back to the Ultimate Ninja series. This series, 5 special games, gives me a warm, fuzzy feeling on the inside. I look at the lineage of Naruto video games, ones that we've talked about here, like Ninja Council, to Rise of a Ninja, to the Uzumaki Chronicles games, Clash of Ninja, but there's nothing that hits quite like Ultimate Ninja. And this is the start of something special, especially now because we have a new Ultimate Ninja Storm game on the horizon, and Ultimate Ninja, this was the start of the era that is still ongoing with CyberConnect 2, who went on to define what 3D anime fighters should be like. So ladies and gentlemen, we got 5 special games to go through today. Let's not delay any further. Let's celebrate the Ultimate Ninja series as we await the release of Ultimate Ninja Storm Connections, the latest in the series. If you're new here and you're into nostalgic retrospective or the occasional Naruto content, we have a couple of videos up on the channel for that. Consider subscribing. Let's begin with the one rolling behind me here, Naruto Ultimate Ninja. This is the beginning of something special. The foreground and background fighting arenas, the incredible art style, various hidden leaf ninja dropping power-ups throughout the fight to regain health, chakra, or unique items. This, humble beginnings when you really look at it. Still a phenomenal game in my opinion, but when you look at where Naruto is, where it went from Naruto to Naruto Shippuden to Boruto, and I've not even touched Boruto at all. I still got a lot of work to do on Shippuden, to tell you the truth. So there is a lot of Naruto. When you look at Ultimate Ninja, the character roster versus what you got in, say, the latest numbered entry in Ultimate Ninja Storm 4, Road to Boruto, right? Where it had 100+ characters. It's insane to see where the series started and what it's become. And no game, I think, underscores that more than Ultimate Ninja 1. Just again, humble beginnings, innocent times. I remember as a kid always looking forward to Naruto every single week. When I really think about it, this was my gateway anime. This was the one as a kid that got me to try out so many others because it felt like I was taking a step forward. While it was in the same pocket as the likes of Pokemon and Dragon Ball Z, this was a step more into that weeb territory at the time when I was watching it in 6th grade. At the time, you gotta remember, nowadays it's cool to watch and celebrate anime. Back then, not so much. So this was a step into some more different territory, but it's also when I bought this headband right here. So yeah, special time, but let's talk about the game, shall we? So you have 2 modes here that you're gonna probably be playing through. The first one is scenario mode, which is basically an arcade mode that you've seen in fighters before, as you'll go through each of the characters on the roster's story throughout multiple fights. They're not fully detailed cutscenes, they're more like graphic novel approaches to conversations that loosely stitch together parts of each character's individual character arc. So you'll just see the PNG with the mouth slightly moving and a couple of text boxes, and then the fight will begin. Now, when the fights start, the first thing I noticed that I loved about this game in particular versus any other game in the Ultimate Ninja series is how good the AI was, but not in an unfair way. Like, when I was facing Orochimaru as Sasuke, it was a legitimately tough fight without any sort of BS, like, oh, this is the boss monster, this is Gaara, this is Orochimaru, they're gonna kick your butt because power. It felt fair, like the way they reacted, the way we went back and forth. I don't know if I just didn't realize this as a kid, but very often you go back to these games from your childhood and you realize how unfair they were, how poorly balanced they were, and you appreciate some of the modern gaming sensibilities and design philosophies that have crept in over time. But you look at something like Ultimate Ninja, which is a tough fighting game, and even though it's arcadey and how it's giving you power-ups and how you recover chakra, unlike in Ultimate Ninja Storm where you'd hold triangle and you'd charge it up yourself, in this, it's all about pickups. So again, it's very arcadey, but there's still a legitimate challenge here. There's legitimate combos. It's not as finely tuned as what I'll talk about in Ultimate Ninja 2. But again, I just got to shout out that it is pretty competitive here, which I liked to rediscover. This is also where we saw for the first time Ultimate Jutsu QTE. So as you hit an enemy, you hear a great one-liner. Of course, for me as a Sasuke Uchiha fanboy, I had to pick my man and hear Yuri Lowenthal just go to work in what continues to be my favorite voice actor of all time, but Sasuke was the birth of that. This is the coolest sounding dude to me in all of anime. Still to this day, no lie, I love Sasuke Uchiha. This guy is awesome, and especially when he says, like, this is the reason for my existence. Like, just absolute gangster energy here from Sasuke Uchiha. So yeah, you're gonna go through these ultimate jutsu QTEs where you're gonna see the face buttons on each corner of the screen, gotta mash them up. They'll change that over time because it takes your eyes away from what's happening on screen, which is the stuff that they put a lot of effort into compared to the rest of the game. There's one thing that I noticed, which is, I think it may have been like a translation error. Instead of saying Lion's Barrage, which is one of Sasuke's finishers at the time, I know his moveset has dramatically evolved and he's turned into a monster practically with wings and curse mark and all this stuff. But there was a time that Lion's Barrage was the move for him, and instead in this game he says Barrage of Lions, which just kind of stood out to me as like, oh,
Barrage of Lions!
Because then they fix it in Ultimate Ninja 2. So it's just funny to see how something like that nowadays would just never be overlooked. But again, humble beginnings. There's also a mission mode in Ultimate Ninja 1, which has a bit of the essence from Uzumaki Chronicles, where I don't know if y'all ever played the first Uzumaki Chronicles. It's probably my favorite Naruto game ever. I'm waiting for like a rainy day where it's a good time to talk about that game because I will dive deeper than you could ever imagine. But I loved how you could go to the mission board, get all these different objectives, travel around not just the Hidden Leaf Village, but the entire world of Naruto, go to all these villages, interact with all of these people. And there's a little bit of that feeling here in Ultimate Ninja as you go through mission mode and you'll rise up the ranks, Genin, Chunin, and so on and so forth. And you'll eventually unlock higher and higher ranked missions. This is your conduit outside of course, completing various scenarios. This is your conduit to unlocking new characters. So I just really like the design of Ultimate Ninja 1 in that it's very much an arcadey early 2000s fighting game, but it still has a bit of that competitive energy thanks to competent AI. But the way you unlock characters, it naturally pulls you into wanting to do all the content there. So the mission mode is going to put you under specific circumstances. It's a mode that we'll be referencing a lot in future Naruto games. It's going to put you under certain circumstances to complete fights and say a time limit or use a specific item or a specific jutsu at a specific time and so on and so forth. And once you complete all of these, you'll then move on to the next mission. As a kid, this mode was so addicting, just trying to get all the prerequisites because you can't even fail one in this game. It's not like, all right, you gotta be here, good job, let's move on. It's like, no, you gotta hit all of them, and they get really tough as you get deep in the game. I just appreciate this design because, for example, as a kid, when you hit Chunin rank in Ultimate Ninja, you'd unlock Curse Mark Sasuke. This was a moment, right? You go, oh my God, oh, he's right there, that's awesome. Right? That feeling of finding a character you never expected, it just will never be replicated in modern gaming because to sell copies of the game and with how high investment, high risk it is to make these games nowadays, instead what you get is the entire roster for a video game revealed. My moment of awakening was with Kingdom Hearts 3, where they revealed every world of the game before it even came out. I was like, okay, there's no surprises here. Same with the fighting game roster. So I just have a 2020 hindsight sort of appreciation for the fighting games that, you know, dare to be a single player game and say, hey, come play all of our content and enjoy it, and you'll unlock the characters you're really looking for. Because nowadays you get like what, one secret unlockable. I just wish there was more encouragement to play the single player campaign. I get with Evo and its popularity, it's not really the best thing, but I just wish more single player fighting games invested in the single player content. And so Ultimate Ninja was a stern reminder of how awesome that can be. But you know what's better than Ultimate Ninja 1 for some is Ultimate Ninja 2. So let's check out a complete in-box copy and then get into the sequel. All right, let's get it started. Ultimate Ninja 1 on the PS2. The back of the box says, do you have what it takes to become the Ultimate Ninja? I would say so. Fight is more than, wow, people would get killed nowadays if they made a game with this few characters, but more than 12 playable characters. Okay, switch stages mid-combat. Like I said, humble beginnings. Unleash multi-level super attacks and unlock tons of bonus content, including secret characters, which is one of the draws of the game. Here on the inside, we have a beautiful manual. One thing that Bandai never gave up on throughout this entire series is a beautiful illustrated manual that's rich with color, including the Ultimate Ninja 5 copy, arguably too full of color, which I don't think I've ever said before in this channel's history. You have taijutsu lessons from Guy, you have genjutsu lessons from Kurenai, and so on and so forth. Look at all of this art. Absolutely beautiful. as they break down the controls of the game, and every single little technique you see is broken down by the right sensei, so you love to see all of that here. Otherwise, flipping it through, it's a lot of the stuff I've talked about so far, from items to recovery and how it's all handled in an arcadey item basis. And here you have support characters that'll help you out. The beginning of the game, simple things like loading, the missions that I talked to you about. You have the free battle, Naruto's house, and then all of the characters have their own little bios with teeny tiny text that you can read if I bring the camera super close. Look at Sasuke. Look at him. He looks so cool. All right. Anyway, here is the real important part. Now you know I'm not fibbing. They were selling these headbands, man, all right? And they were promoting them. So there it is. It's only in this manual and the card game. There's actually some Naruto games that you could buy from the PS2. If you buy it with all its collectibles and everything, you'll actually find some of these packaged in to help promote it. But otherwise, that is a complete in-box copy of Naruto Ultimate Ninja 1. So in this game, instead of getting your split between a scenario mode and a mission mode, you get what's unified in Ultimate Road. And this mode is fantastic, especially when you look at where the original was. Like I said, humble beginnings. This was a tremendous leap forward for the series. So what happens here is, first and foremost, you have improved cutscenes compared to what was in the first game. Remember what I said about Ultimate Ninja 1, you know, having these more visual novel style cutscenes, if you will, cutscenes being a very generous term. They weren't bad, but they were just, you know, not the characters moving and walking and talking. You got a little bit of that here in Ultimate Ninja 2, and that improved production value made the story feel a little bit more compelling, a little bit more true to the anime. But more importantly, I think, is how they open things up. So here in the Ultimate Road mode, they introduce RPG elements for the first time, like earning experience points as you battle through tons of enemies in the overworld. And you could upgrade things like your attack, your defense, your chakra, and so on across multiple characters. So as you're fighting with Sasuke a bunch, as you're fighting with Naruto a bunch, and so on and so forth, they're gonna gather XP points. You can upgrade pretty much every character on the roster in the game, which is worthwhile. Now, while you're out there, you're gonna actually be able to complete side missions like in the first game, like you did with, you know, your mission mode, except the difference here is you get to run around the Hidden Leaf Village. You get to run around all these locations that you saw in the show, and it's awesome. The way I think about it is, if you remember our big Mortal Kombat retrospective, we talked about Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, right? Setting the tone. Here's the fighting style and some loose story modes. Loose story modes might be very generous as well for Deadly Alliance, because it's like a elongated combo tutorial, but I digress. Then you get Deception, you get to travel all over Outworld, and so on and so forth, right? Same thing kind of here. You get the fighting tone set in Ultimate Ninja 1. Now you get to explore the world that you've seen in Ultimate Ninja 2. However, these missions can be really tough to track down given the amount of fragmented maps across the entire game there are, but it's just awesome how much this game opens up compared to the first one. For example, as you're exploring, you'll find crazy mini games you can do, like doing a handstand race against Guy Sensei, which I just thought was awesome. Now, the story itself takes place at the start of the Chunin exams, which I love personally because that's one of my favorite anime arcs as a kid growing up. I mean, you have black outfit Sasuke here with Sharingan. It just, oh, it goes so hard. So just seeing that off the rip as a kid was incredible. Like, this game was awesome, especially just being able to interact with the Naruto world in a different way. Like, this game, Ultimate Ninja 3 we'll talk about, that's my favorite one, but also Uzumaki Chronicles, just these were my spirit animals. Now, the unlocks here are a little less arcadey, but there's also cheat codes that you can use for everything. So if someone wanted to come in and skip Ultimate Road and play versus mode with their friends and just have every character unlocked, you can do that. Now, visually, one thing I wanted to point out that's also in the first game, but I feel it was depicted a little bit sharper here, is how I quite like their use of shaders and clearly defined lines to create a shadow for the characters. It was in the first game, but seeing it more here just to me displayed how true to manga the art direction was for this game, and so I love that a lot. Otherwise, when you're watching the gameplay and the fighting, you may look at it and think to yourself, oh, this is just, you know, more Ultimate Ninja 1, but it feels so much better. Silky smooth, the way that you can string together combos in the air, jumping off of walls, running up walls, the way it flows. There's just an elegance to it all compared to the first game. Not only that, but they've also changed how ultimate jutsus work. So in the first game, remember, you had the lineup of all those buttons on the side and you're staring at the corner of your screen just trying to get as many inputs properly as possible. Now it's pretty much a tug of war in the middle, and you're gonna mash one button and it's gonna go through multiple sequences of that, and if you win that outright, then you can get like critical damage, or if you're the one being attacked by it, you can reduce the damage, and so on and so forth. So yeah, Ultimate Ninja 2, a tremendous leap forward, but this game right here, this was the leap. Ultimate Ninja 2 time, baby. Here we go. Back of the box says, great ninja aren't born, they're made. Truer words have never been spoken, with now over 30 playable characters, so more than double of the original roster, and 16 unique stages, intense chakra-powered secret techniques. Here it also says spectacular battles, mini games, and tons of unlockable content, and all new character customization and story mode. Note how they don't even promote exploring the Hidden Leaf Village. Kind of surprising there. On the inside, we have a really chunky manual here, so let's start flipping through it. Again, beautiful illustration. You should expect nothing less throughout this entire video. Huge fan of what they did here with the manuals. Just really playful. Look at Gaara. Look at the art there. Look at the shadow work. Beautiful stuff. Something that, again, they did really well here, I think, with the base game. Sakura looks really weird in both manuals so far. Like, she just has this strange look, like it's off, like she's gonna kill me or something. We have the items here, breaking all of those down, the location of some of the characters that you're gonna find throughout the game, starting the game, basic stuff like that. A breakdown of Ultimate Road and all of the different things that you're going to power up and what these stats mean in case they're not immediately apparent. Like Resist, it says this determines how quickly you will recover from undesired status changes. So get a bit more of an idea there, or tool damage. More on choosing missions here. It's just a lot dedicated to Ultimate Road. There are other mini games here like tree climbing, slot machine, and so on, as they give you gradual character bios instead of saving them for the last page like the first manual. The versus duel section, the training mode, Tanzaku Market, as well as Naruto's house. You can view all the collectibles you buy from the marketplace. Adjusting settings with Tsunade here, the back Shizune here as well. The credits, and then some more Naruto merch. I'm not gonna lie, this is I'm biased. I know who's on the front here, but kind of goes hard. Kind of a fan of what's going on there. Here, promotions for the first season of Naruto, Dream Legacy, which is the new set for the card game. I mean, look at it. Naruto everything. The manga, they're promoting volume 14. Wow. You want to talk about humble beginnings right there. I mean, just really crazy to see where the series is. And even a promotion for Ultimate Ninja Heroes on the back, which is pretty much the portable version of Ultimate Ninja. We'll talk about that in a separate video, but that is a complete box copy of Ultimate Ninja 2.
What's going on? What are you? I'm your friend!
I will never forget my journey to get Ultimate Ninja 3. It was around the time I first discovered GameStop, which as a kid, used games at a cheaper price was a godsend, especially being able to trade in my old goodies for new goodies. It was a mind-blowing experience as someone with very little money. And so when I found Ultimate Ninja 3 at GameStop, naturally as a Naruto fan, I went, well, I want to pick this one up. I remember taking it off the shelf and it was there. I cracked open the case and there it was, the disc. Now for those who don't know, and naturally if you went to a GameStop today, you would see it. It's usually just a display case. Back then they would actually leave the manuals in there, but they would never leave the disc in there. And as someone who's told a lot of hooligan stories about myself growing up, I thought I'd tell you a good one. You know, a time that I was a good person, I showed an ounce of maturity here. And so I brought it to the front desk and I told them like, hey, the disc is still in here. And they thanked me for it and they took the game back, and then I bought it for $40 right then and there. I never looked back. Naruto Ultimate Ninja 3 and its open world-ish mode, which we'll talk about in the Ultimate Contest, the character roster, the RPG elements. This was one of my top 3 Naruto games growing up. Ultimate Ninja 3, out of any game in this series, probably even including Ultimate Ninja Storm, spent the most time with because of just how well paced they broke out the content to you and how addicting it was to explore the Hidden Leaf Village. And of course, as a kid, this was the dream. Like when you were playing Ultimate Ninja 2, you were thinking like, this is just little maps. Like I want to run around and be limitless. And you finally got that answer. We'll talk about all of that in a moment, but let's set the table first. So what's going on here is you have the Ultimate Contest mode, which was a grind as a kid. Everyone from the Hidden Leaf and Sand Village are collecting these crystals in a tournament, and the winner earns the right to create a new regulation for the Hidden Leaf Village. So, as you're fighting through all of these different enemies and collecting crystals, you're going to automatically level up instead of the stat point allocation that you'd find in the previous Ultimate Ninja game. You'll also unlock jutsus and have some crazy expansive customization options for these characters, like the amount of swapping you can do, especially when the fights get really tough. I remember making some serious changes to my kit. Dude, like it was so addicting as a kid having all these options. Like if Ultimate Ninja 2 was Mortal Kombat Deception, then Ultimate Ninja 3 was Mortal Kombat Armageddon. As I said though, the real, I feel, calling card of this mode was being able to explore the Hidden Leaf Village and a couple of other smaller hubs throughout the game's world. I mean, just having that ability to run around, collect scrolls, collect money, and being able to just be there talking with these characters, fighting them in unique missions. Nowadays, I think the game would get laughed at, but this was so cool as a kid growing up, loving everything based Naruto and just having all of those characters from the last two games and then some, that brand new kind of original story, all of this customization just there at your fingertips. I remember sinking an easy 100+ hours into this game. I loved it as a kid. Again though, the unlocked nature changes a bit from what you got in Ultimate Ninja 1 and 2, because the main way you unlock these characters is by completing one of two modes. You're either gonna go through this Ultimate Contest mode, which is its own sort of story mode, or they didn't forget, they also did the Hero's History mode. And in the Hero's History mode is where you're going to relive the highlights of the OG Naruto series up to the point in time that this game had released. And I gotta say that the upgrade and cutscenes are more notable here, which is impressive with how much it's already doing. This felt like the ultimate Naruto game. Like, re-watching that cutscene where Haku and Zabuza pass at the end of that fight with the snow falling. Yeah, it's in a very abridged version of what you got in the anime, but it still hits, right? It's still that CyberConnect 2 production value that we've come to know and love with the Ultimate Ninja Storm series, where they've arguably done the anime better, which is what you could only ask of with any anime tie-in game. But yeah, I just can't emphasize enough. Ultimate Ninja 3 is such a special game to me. I love it so much. One of my favorite games growing up, one of those most played games growing up, and absolutely one of those moments that you'll always remember that story of when you bought the game. So let's go through a special complete in-box experience and then talk about, yes, a fourth Ultimate Ninja game. One of my favorite box arts of all time, where you just have the Ninetales Naruto, Curse Mark Sasuke. You know, you have all of the heroes here. Sakura looking really down, all the villains here, just respecting each side of the plot. I don't know, I really love the art direction for this box. The back says, "The Ultimate Ninja Battle Evolved. The best of the best has finally arrived. Fight out the battles right out of the TV show. Unleash devastating ultimate jutsus of an unprecedented scale. Explore the massive Hidden Leaf Village in a brand new story mode. Switch between English and Japanese voiceover, big deal back then, more common nowadays. And master over 40 characters this time in 20 unique stages." On the inside here, we have a really chunky manual. I believe this is one that does include, yeah, it does include a separate language. So just keep that in mind, that it's thick because it's including two languages. They even do this up until Ultimate Ninja 5 when it probably wasn't financially sensible to do so, which again, I really do respect. But the same stuff you've seen before here, just beautiful artwork. Look at that. I mean, Naruto got really, especially in Shippuden, obsessed with how they handle monsters and whatnot, or turning characters into monsters. More item examples, this time breaking down Ultimate Contest, you know, how you could enter buildings. You can see here you're inside the ramen shop. That was one of the really cool parts about Ultimate Contest, was going inside some of the iconic locations. The mission mode, what you could see during special screens, Hero's History. Yeah, you've seen all of this before. Yeah, it is kind of a little bit of running it back. The break room, this is where you could kind of find mini games here, which give me a little bit of a, I'd say, Pokemon Stadium vibe. You have Naruto's house again, adjusting settings, and then that's the end of the manual, because then the rest is just for a separate language. But hero promotion for Ultimate Ninja Heroes 2 coming out in June, which, man, I remember buying this game in Japanese. It's a whole stupid story that I'll share on the channel another time. But nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, that is a copy of Ultimate Ninja 3. All right, here we go. As you can see, we are now in Shippuden territory, which is uncharted waters for many at this point in time. But it also marks the time where Ultimate Ninja was starting to fall off, and we were getting Ultimate Ninja Storm on PS3, now available everywhere. But this was a game, much like Ultimate Ninja 5, that flew completely under the radar. This game introduces Master Mode, which now explains where Uzumaki Chronicles went. So I'll try to save my Uzumaki Chronicles adoration for a separate video, but I talked already about why I love that game series, right? It's about exploring the world of Naruto. Particularly, I love the first game. The second game, I remember not liking really at all as a kid because I think it went against everything that the first game set up. But nonetheless, I really did love the first game so much. And I loved it because one of the things that it did right was letting you fight like the common ninja. You didn't always have to fight one-on-one against enemies. Like the show always showed Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, Kakashi like beating up common thugs too. And I wanted more of that. That's why I love Rise of a Ninja. That's why I love Broken Bond. They captured that pretty well. And so now I start to get where the series went because they just started to fade elements of that series gradually into Ultimate Ninja. And so you were already getting the 3D exploration starting with Ultimate Ninja 2. And I imagine at some point Bandai looked at both these series and said, what's selling better? Why are we doing both? Let's put them together. And that's pretty much what you get here with Master Mode. Now this is a much more expansive, open world to explore, some seriously impressive scale to the hub worlds. I mean, you wouldn't even believe it, man. For the PS2, it was really pushing it, in my opinion. And again, a dream game as a kid. I think if I played Ultimate Ninja 4 as a kid growing up, this would have been a mind-bending experience, which is why I mentioned how some people may chuckle a bit at Ultimate Ninja 3 nowadays without the nostalgia, without picking it up and playing it as a kid. And I think I get that more so because playing Ultimate Ninja 4, I'm kind of like, huh, oh, this is pretty cool. But as a kid, if you played this game, being able to see all these different parts of the world now, not just the Hidden Leaf Village, this little boxed-in village that you got in Ultimate Ninja 3, but really cracking it open, that's what Master Mode was all about. The fighting in particular was also kind of reminiscent of Uzumaki Chronicles, although it didn't feel as good in my humble opinion. Don't mind me, but it did look good. There's no doubt about that. So you'll mash away on your circle button with the occasional on-screen prompt directing you to hit a button to do a shadow pursuit or pull out a Rasengan. It's weirdly a reminder of Final Fantasy 15, which is not something I expected to be saying in this video. But anyway, I did find this cool to see in an Ultimate Ninja game like the base series before it went into Storm, because to my knowledge, the only time we really got to do this sort of running around in the Ultimate Ninja series and beating enemies up, common thugs up, was Ultimate Ninja Storm 3. So to see that here in Ultimate Ninja 4, and we'll talk about it in 5, that was awesome because I played a ton of Ultimate Ninja Storm 1, 2, and 3, and it wasn't until 3 that we saw that return to form of combining all of these elements that made the Ultimate Ninja series really special long term. While you're running around in Master Mode, you're gonna find pieces of memories that are basically little collectibles for you, and you can go into the Hero Mode where you can relive the highlights of the Naruto storyline. So you have it broken up a different way. I think the main difference here is that with Master Mode, instead of Ultimate Contest being this own more self-contained storyline, keeping it really tight and rigid, Master Mode really kicks the door down and opens things up a ton. So that's Ultimate Ninja 4, and yes, there is a 5th Ultimate Ninja game, which I genuinely, until very recently, had no idea about. And if you didn't know about it, well, don't blame yourself because it never made its way to the US, as you can tell. So let's take a look at Ultimate Ninja 4, complete in box, and then talk about Ultimate Ninja 5, which it won't be on screen behind me, and we'll explain why. Ultimate Ninja 4, never held a complete in box copy in my hands as a child, but now we got it right here. Let's check out the back where it says Ultimate Ninja meets Naruto Shippuden. Explore a massive and immersive world of breathtaking locations. I mean, look at the scale, look at the flex there. We love that type of stuff. an unprecedented total of 52 playable characters, old and new. So yeah, they'll kind of cheat here a little bit, and you'll see like the Shippuden version of Naruto and then the OG version of Naruto, something that they do even the Ultimate Ninja Storm games. It says the first Naruto Shippuden game of the year. So yeah, this is just cracking into the Shippuden arc and brand new action gameplay based on an all new Shippuden storyline. Here on the inside, one thing I love about when I buy games online is when I find the receipt here. We're gonna hide the payment information, but you'll see here that this was purchased on June 14th of 2009, and you'll see it was a $40 game, which I don't know, I just love finding this sort of stuff in my complete box copies. You also have here a promotion for Shonen Jump to catch up on the manga. I didn't get into manga until way late in my lifetime. And then here we have the manual promoting, yep, Ultimate Ninja Storm on the back. Love this game so much. All right, let's get into it here. So yeah, we're deep into the PS2 life cycle, but we're not giving up on the manuals yet. You'll see here free battles are broken down. Pardon me if I just flip through these kind of quickly, because it does go over a lot of the same shared mechanics like saving and loading data. Like, we don't know what that is at this point in time. Here's Master Mode and all the things you can do within it. They show that you can actually summon Rasengan in Master Mode, kind of a key component there. The items that you can find, movement, combat in Master Mode, that kind of three-dimensional battle system. Jam actions, those are kind of the instant actions, if you will, that you'd find in the combat system that reminded me of Final Fantasy 15. Hero mode, the sealed stories that you'd be able to unlock with the memory crystals, customizing your jutsus, which is also really awesome from Ultimate Ninja 3, the shop, the collection, and then that's it for Ultimate Ninja 4 as a complete in-box copy. So pretty cool one right here. So, Ultimate Ninja 5. This game came out in 2007. When in 2007? December 20th. So we're over 2 years into the life cycle of the Xbox 360. We're a little bit of ways into the PS3's life cycle as well. And naturally, you know, it was Ultimate Ninja Storm time at this point. We had all moved on, but there was still one more PS2 game in the can. This one never made its way to the United States, naturally because the demand was more for Ultimate Ninja Storm, and it would have cost more to bring it over. With even the Japanese VA, it just would have cost too much to bring over. So this game, as you can tell by the rating on the case behind me, only came out in European territories and Japan. And that's the only places you can play it too, because it's not like I can throw this into my PS2 now and play it for myself. Unfortunately, consoles were region locked back then. So even if you bought a copy now, you wouldn't be able to enjoy a copy of Ultimate Ninja 5 on your PS2, which is a shame. And it's why I would love to see Bandai take a real big risk and just remaster all of these old Ultimate Ninja games and bring this to the West for the first time officially. But for those who are not initiated with Ultimate Ninja 5, what has changed here? Well, for starters, naturally, as you'd expect, given it only released in Japan and European territories, there isn't an English VO for those who care about that stuff, but this time it's just Master Mode, and it's more of what you saw in, wait for it, Ultimate Ninja 2. Yeah, not 4, not 3, 2. Let me explain. So yeah, the PS2 was on its last legs here as the game released at the tail end, and yeah, you can really feel that, because while Ultimate Ninja 3 and 4 provided a greater sense of freedom, Ultimate Ninja 5 lets you play as someone like Kankuro and explore the Sand Village. So there's a lot more visual diversity here, so they have to pack in more assets, and that leads to the maximum file compression you can imagine here. And yeah, you can really feel this one was being squeezed down tight. That's because these maps are fragmented and limited in scale, much of like what you saw in Ultimate Ninja 2. So remember what I said with Ultimate Ninja 2, you'd be running around the map, loading screen, run around the map, loading screen. And it was all broken up, but since it was early in the PS2's life cycle, it was okay, and because it was doing a massive leap forward compared to the first game, it was acceptable that you had that much loading. Now with Ultimate Ninja 5, you're thinking, okay, Ultimate Ninja 3 really opened up the Hidden Leaf Village, 4 opened up areas beyond that, 5 should either be of equal or bigger, and what 5 does is goes through limited zones, but a lot of diversity within them. What's strange though, is that this game is also really short compared to other Ultimate Ninja games. Remember I said I put over 100 hours into Ultimate Ninja 3, Ultimate Ninja 4 is like a 10+ hour game, like Ultimate Ninja 5 is like a 6-7 hour game. Like, you can really fly through this main story if you'd like. There is side content, little side quests that you can pick up on, but yeah, this game again, kind of last one in the can, just get it out. Limited territories anyway, just let's get it out. One thing that's cool here and different is instead of the kind of openness and the fighting that you had in Ultimate Ninja 4, what you get in 5 instead is random encounters. And these random encounters, when they happen, it's not just you, but like Kakashi, Sakura will support you and fight enemies with you as well, which makes the mob battles a lot better. Meanwhile, the 2D fighting, I haven't talked about it much because it's just smoothing up what already exists, right? Just quality of life enhancements. But here in Ultimate Ninja 5 and also in Ultimate Ninja 4, naturally with the roster, you can imagine how many jutsus are packed into this game, and it's incredible, man. I mean, they went really hard with some of these, like Sasuke's. And naturally, I'm a Sasuke fanboy, so sorry I'm bringing him up, but when the dude's falling upside down and Sasuke's just staring him in the eyes as he's slowly falling down and just punches him and he sends him flying. It's either Ultimate Ninja 4 or 5. I think it was 5, but still, the ultimate jutsus in this game are awesome. What's really neat too is that they do linked jutsus, so you can team up with someone else and do these tag jutsus together, which I just thought was a really cool addition to the game. So yeah, parts of this game go crazy, but it didn't go out with a terrible bang, but no one really even heard it fizzle out because we were already onto like Ultimate Ninja Storm at this point, and everyone was celebrating that game completely, and rightfully so. So yeah, those are all the Ultimate Ninja games, so let's take a look at a rare complete in-box copy of Ultimate Ninja 5 and then wrap this one up. It's possible you've actually never held a copy of this game in your hand, so I'm happy to go through it for you here. And I noticed how just thick you Europeans had it compared to the US. Look how tall the font is and everything. Pretty crazy. Anyway, back in the box says, unleash the demon within. And indeed we shall. Live Naruto Shippuden events in adventure mode, master mode, or master more, sorry, then 60 characters in free battle mode, boost character stats, add equipment, and upgrade jutsus. This is one of the cool parts of the game. You can actually change what equipment you have on and turns more into a pseudo RPG experience, special team-based jutsus with partner support, and new sets of stages for a complete immersion in the anime. So yeah, they were going full, I would say, Uzumaki Chronicles here. This manual for this time period, I'm sorry, but this is insane. 2 languages in here. Let's go through the English portion of it, where they open with Shikamaru, Choji, and Ino, which I thought was an interesting play. Usually it's like Squad 7, right? But not even. But that shows where Shippuden was at this point. This is where I say they might get a little too colorful. I mean, you're going to see here highlighter yellow, orange, beige. There's one point here. You're going to see green, red, beige, highlighter yellow, orange. It's like, holy smokes, man. They did not spare any printer ink. Look at this. Look at this. There was an awakened mode, so kind of similar to what you saw in Ultimate Ninja Storm, where you could transform by charging your chakra. Same thing here. You have your defense breakdown. Look at this pink, green. I mean, again, they just put this printer through the works, man. I respect it. They break down here the master mode, all the things you can do within the master mode, the statuses, the different things you'll see stats-wise. Your notebook, which is really important in this game to tracking down all of your quests, the teams that you can assemble and change the team compositions of. Master Battle, like I said, you can fight with your teammates, which was really a cool addition, I have to say. Selecting linked characters, ending a free battle, and here we have free battle. More and more color. I mean, it's borderline overwhelming, overstimulating. You have the practice mode, the shop, as you'd expect. You're going to unlock collectibles here, and then one last shot of Naruto before you move on to a different language. So that, ladies and gentlemen, no promotion on the back for even like the Ultimate Ninja Storm games. That is a complete in-box copy of Ultimate Ninja 5. And so that, ladies and gentlemen, are all 5 Ultimate Ninja games. Thank you so much for tuning in. I absolutely loved going back to all of these. I really have nothing bad to say about any of them at the end of the day. Naruto, especially OG Naruto, was such an important part of my childhood growing up, and being able to revisit games from that era specifically, as much as I love Shippuden and I love the games attached to it, being able to go back to that specific era of Naruto games just hits and it feels right. So thank you so much for allowing me to do this. Thank you for tuning in. Let me know your favorite Ultimate Ninja game down in the comments below. And with that, take excellent care of yourselves, and I will see you not only in the Hidden Leaf Village, but in the next Retro Rebound. Peace out.